The American Physical Society's 2023 March meeting brings together scientists and students from around the world to connect and collaborate across academia, industry and major labs. Thousands of attendees converge in Las Vegas to network, exchange ideas and discuss all things physics for the betterment of our world. Welcome back to APS TV and our exciting second day at the APS 2023 March meeting. I'm your host Stephen Horn and our theme today is going to be amplifying the voice of science. Today we'll sit down with APS March meeting Programme Chair and the APS Committee of Scientific Meetings Chair. We'll hear from the APS Medal for Exceptional Achievement in Research winner Sidney Nagel and how his research advanced our knowledge and understanding of the physical universe at the highest level. We'll also visit institutes and universities pushing the industry forward with innovative ideas, groundbreaking research and monumental conclusions. Each day you can find the latest episode of APS TV on the TVs placed around the convention centre. But don't worry if you miss us there, you can tune in right in your hotel room, channel 71 at the Ling and the Horseshoe Hotel, and channel 74 at Harrods. Remember, you can also find us on the APS website, as well as on YouTube and Twitter channels. Plenty of ways to watch. We start today off with a trip to the University of Massachusetts, where their collaborative state-of-the-art facility is developing electronics compatible with nearly any substrate material system.
In Quest Group, which is Quantum Engineering Science and Technology Group, we work on developing systems which are macroscopic in size, but they can still manifest quantum effects, which means that these systems are big enough that they can be controlled by us while manifesting delicate quantum effects.
I work in theoretical cosmology. My interest is at the interface of gravity and quantum mechanics. I want to understand how they inform us of the origin of the universe and of the evolution of the universe. So, for example, we think that quantum mechanics had a very important role in the early universe and how structure in the universe formed.
We have very close collaborations and deep ties with several industry partners, such as IBM Research and Raytheon BBN Technologies. This is an immense benefit to us, both in terms of physics as well as student training. Specifically, by talking continuously to people who are developing practical quantum technologies like IBM and Raytheon, it keeps us grounded, and it also helps us identify the primary directions where we can make a real-world impact. And so we hope that these will be the students of the next generation quantum smart workforce.
The Centre of Excellence for PC-SELs has been developing the latest PC-SEL technologies to help realise Society 5.0. Let's see what they have in store.
The photonic crystal surface emitting laser, or PIXL. This laser, developed at the Center of Excellence for Pixels at Kyoto University in Japan, is expected to supplant conventional lasers and revolutionize the world. The PIXL is capable of emitting a much higher quality beam at a higher power than conventional semiconductor lasers. The PIXL emits a circular, tightly focused beam directly from its surface and completely unassisted by external optics. This feature is extremely attractive for LiDAR sensors, which act as the eyes of autonomous robots and vehicles. Researchers are working toward further developing the functionalities of pixels using artificial intelligence and quantum computing, and toward developing pixels with various wavelengths in cooperation with companies.
The Center of Excellence for Pixels is now establishing an ecosystem for expanding pixels and the related technology globally.
Now it's time to sit down with APS March meeting Programme Chair Smitha Vishveshwara to make sure we're making the most out of this year's event. First of all, thank you very much indeed for joining us on such a busy day for you.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Isn't it great the March meeting's finally underway here in Las Vegas?
It's wonderful. Here we are back together again.
Now, you're chair of the organising committee. What are some of the best bits of being chair of the organising committee?
There's something really euphoric. Our team, made of the APS Meeting staff and fellow volunteers, has worked all year round, and really working with them has been such a joy. And then at the end of it all, you see it culminating to this event taking place. I can only say that at this moment, I really do feel a deep love for our community and for the people I've worked with.
It was really great, wasn't it, the Kavli Symposium yesterday, and the physics that you had, the physicists that you had there.
Absolutely. And really, the way it all came together, again, one of these special sessions, also was beautiful. For most of us, I think we really cherish physics from the sort of atomic level to the quantum, to, all the way to the Earth and the cosmic. And this was something we really wanted to share and bring out in this special session. And so we really went through these topics, scale by scale: ultra cold atoms, quantum matter, our precious Earth, and then the entire universe. And to bring it all out and to do justice to it, you really need phenomenal scientists and speakers. And we were so lucky to be able to bring them, and they were so enthusiastic, so kind and receptive. And so you see it all come together in this forum. And I thought, like you, it really, really was awe-inspiring.
How important do you think it is for physicists to sort of engage with the public in sort of explaining sort of scientific points of view?
I think it's extremely important that we have a good body of people doing it. And there are many reasons for that. One, science, what we're made up of, science really explains that. Everything from the building blocks that make us who we are to the gadgets that we have. I do also think it's extremely important for the public to be informed. And I feel like it needs to be done in a way where it's not this, oh, science is the scary thing, I want to run away from it. It's really not true. There's this reputation that they run away from us. It's not. I've sat next to people in the airplane, and when I say quantum, they don't look the other way. They say, what? Tell me more, and there's popular culture that has drawn them in more. And I think we have an opportunity now as scientists. And the last thing is that I feel why the importance of science. Just like music, I really do think the universe is so fundamental to our soul, and there's a way of being human that you can really embrace when you know about this cosmos around you.
Cast your mind back a little bit. What advice, what thoughts would you give to young people in that same position as you were?
So I would say, again, be yourself.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of pressure to be in a certain way, and standards, be it in the scientific community or society all around, there's some standards that tell you, oh, this is what makes something good or not. And it takes strength sometimes to dispel that notion. And I think that's really important to set it aside and look within yourself as to who you are, and just let that grow. And I would also say, it's no matter what you do in life, physics or whatever it is, of course it'll be a hard journey and you will fall, but that's okay. You just pick yourself up, find that space that is true to you, and wings will slowly grow. And this is what I think.
Now, my final question is, as we've said, lots of people here really engaging, but what would you say for those people who want to be part of this, but who can't for one reason or another be here in Las Vegas?
For them, I really want to say that there are so many ways, and the meetings team has really made an effort to be welcoming and share the news. And so I really do want to welcome them here too. Some of these sessions are live streamed, and we have this whole other virtual component that will be taking place. And I feel like it's up to us as a community to engage and feel out what works best and take it forward for the future.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. It was absolutely fascinating, and I'm sure the meeting will continue to go well, so thank you.
Well, thank you so much for doing all this.
We learned about the APS public engagement programs, connected with other members who were interested in public engagement and enjoyed some snacks. We shared a multitude of ways to participate in public engagement through APS, as well as how APS can support members' engagement efforts in their local communities. We talked about what public engagement encompasses, why it's important to participate, and how to get involved. We invite anyone interested in public engagement to do the same.
Information on all the programs we talked about today can be found from our public engagement website. Just navigate there and find links to all the programs we talked about, committees, forums, etc. And we will make sure to connect you to what you might be interested in.
Let's take a trip to Stanford now, where the E.L. Grinston Laboratory is enhancing interdisciplinary research on the boundaries of physics and engineering.
The Grinston Laboratory, which is an independent laboratory, came out of a number of labs that were set up after efforts that were put into the Second World War, and it was the Hansen Laboratory. Then it became the Grinston Laboratory about 45 years ago.
Grinston Lab at Stanford is what's called an independent lab. This is a lab that sits between the department with the aim to pursue research that cuts across disciplinary boundary.
The Grinston Lab is a really special interdisciplinary institution that combines a lot of research groups from applied physics to electrical engineering. It's extremely collaborative and really brings students together.
So the future of our program is so promising because we are focusing on the right applications. I think that we are constantly changing. That is one of our strengths, and that's why our future is so bright.
The incredible researchers at Kansas State University's Department of Physics are making molecular movies by using ultra-fast lasers. They do so in their state-of-the-art AMO physics lab. Let's go and see some of that movie magic.
In the K-State Physics Department, the overall mission has three big parts: teaching, research, and service, and we focus on all three. We perform well above expectations in teaching and research and all of our mission components, and we deliver very good value for the investment that the federal government and other sponsors have made in our program.
A great thing for anybody who wants to do research at K-State is that we combine a university environment and the environment of a big research center funded by a federal agency, by the U.S. Department of Energy. I want people to associate Kansas with high-tech laboratories, with high-level scientific research, and with advances in physics and chemistry.
Our presence here today would not be possible if it wasn't for Nadya Mason, chair of the APS Committee of Scientific Meetings. We invite her to our studio to chat about the importance of the March 2023 APS meeting. Well, Nadya, welcome. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Now, you're the chair of the APS
Yes.
Committee for Scientific Meetings. Tell us a little bit about that role.
Yes, well, the Committee on Scientific Meetings, or COSM, our role is to help set the policy and organization for all of the APS meetings, for units and March meeting and April meeting.
Sounds like quite a big role.
It is a big role because there's a lot of things that can go right and can go wrong at these meetings, and we just, our goal is to try to make the meetings better for everyone. That's the real goal of our committee. Yeah.
In this particular meeting, this particular March meeting is somewhat unique, really, isn't it, for all the March meetings that we've been to over the years. You've got both an in-person component to this and a virtual component.
Yes.
How important was that to you?
Incredibly important. I mean, this has been something that we've all been thinking about for the past few years. So last year we had a hybrid meeting. What we decided to do this year is to separate the in-person and virtual experiences to make sure that we could really optimize those experiences, particularly for everyone. So we'll have a really robust in-person experience, which is going to be very much like every other year, and then a really robust virtual meeting where all of the talks will be available to both virtual and in-person participants. So those will be recorded unless people opt out. And then on the virtual meeting, there will also be live talks where people can interact and engage in their virtual setting as well.
I think it's really interesting because I think if you look at the universe of these type of meetings, everyone's grappling with the same issue, which is virtual has been awesome in terms of being able to include a lot more people, but you need to sort of make sure that the experience works for people, which is obviously what you've been working on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are things that you get in person that are really hard to get online. Just having a coffee or a drink with someone, and that personal interaction is much easier in person, which is why I think people love this meeting. Bumping into each other in the hallway. I mean, that's what I do all day. I sit outside the meeting talks and I bump into people. So that's harder to do online. But we're trying to create components like networking modules that will allow people to get a little of that hallway feeling for the virtual. I should also say that, for many of us in the committee, we do think the virtual component is really, really important. This is for equity reasons, people who maybe can't afford to come to the meeting, can't get a visa to come to the meeting, who for sustainability reasons don't want to take that flight. We think that from now on there just has to be a virtual component, but we want to make that as strong as possible.
One of the things this is the 13th time I've come to the March meeting, and I'm from London, and one of the things that's always struck me about physics and about the March meeting is the global element of it. There's people here from all around the world engaging. How important is it to you that it is a global meeting?
Very, very important. APS is a global organization. The March meeting gathers physicists from around the world. So we care deeply about our global community as well as our national and local communities. The problem is that it's been really difficult for people from other countries. It's been becoming more difficult for people to come here. This is because sometimes it's hard to get visas. And also just for people from lower income countries, it's very, very expensive to travel to this meeting. The APS has started a graded registration scale where it's up to 89% less expensive for people from low income countries to register for all the meetings, both in person and online.
My final question is, how important do you think it is that scientists engage in amplifying the kind of voice of physics, if you like, into a wider debate?
Yeah. So I think that physicists already do the really hard work. Right? The really hard work is the teaching and the research and the service. This is for physicists in academia and in industry. It's hard work. So I think it's just one more little step to amplify that hard work. And that step can be doing something like going into a school or meeting with a congressperson or giving a public lecture. Now, that itself allows you to just take what you've done already and present it to a broader audience, just broaden the impact of the things that we're already doing. And I think that's really, really important because physics is important. It has an important role in society. And it's something that I think everyone would benefit from us amplifying what we do. So, there's lots of ways we can do this. Luckily the APS already has a lot of opportunities for engagement, for engaging with our units, for meeting Congress people, for training and communication. A lot of universities and industry also have these sort of trainings. So I think if every member took one little step, just did one thing they were interested in, learned how to give a really good public lecture, talked to a congressperson, did a podcast, all of these things I think would go a long way toward just broadening the knowledge about physics, disseminating the great things that we do, helping society, and just bettering things overall.
That's great. Thank you ever so much. It's been a real pleasure to meet you, and I'm sure the meeting's going to go well, both physically and virtually. So
absolutely. Thank you.
KO Photonics Research Institute has been exploring novel functional photonic polymer technologies. Error-free plastic optical filter born at KPRI dramatically reduces the energy consumption and the time delay in data centers, robotics, automotives, and other applications relating to high-speed data communications. Let's head over and see what's possible with these new innovations.
Very recently, we've made very important discovery. That is the error-free plastic optical fiber. By utilizing the error-free plastic optical fiber, the error correction widely used in the current data center is no longer needed.
Low noise data transmission is crucial for emerging high-speed data communications.
POF has a great advantage of being tolerant of them and generating almost no errors.
KPRI and Professor Koike apart is the emphasis on understanding fundamentals of polymer systems.
I think that's really exciting and opens up a new possibility of things that we're going to be able to do creatively.
KPRI has started an R&D collaboration with Nito Denko Corporation for GI-POF fabrication.
Our challenge is material changes the system.
Each year, the APS Medal honors a physicist who has advanced our knowledge and understanding of the physical universe at the highest level. The medal is the highest honor the Society awards to researchers and is intended to celebrate scientific inquiry and the pursuit of knowledge. Now, this year's winner, Sidney Nagel, joined us in the studio to discuss his incisive experiments, numerical simulations, and concepts that have expanded and unified soft matter physics. Well, first of all, welcome to our show, and thank you ever so much for talking to us today.
Well, thank you for the invitation.
Now, you won the APS's foremost awards. What does it feel like to win this award?
Well, for me, it really feels like this is an award for the field, not for an individual. And so I'm very delighted about it because it means that the field I've worked in all my life has somehow come of age.
Let's talk a little bit about that field, soft matter physics. What attracted you to soft matter physics?
Well, I'm not sure that I was attracted to it because I don't think it really existed very much when I started out. And so part of it was that I knew about some people doing one kind of work and other people doing another kind of work. And, I'm not sure it had a name yet, but I kind of liked that, those aspects. But for me particularly was the fact that we could go into the lab and do experiments that we could see, that we could actually see the behavior in front of us. And it was beautiful. I mean, and we could film it, and we took images of this, and we took movies of it, and I was so delighted to be doing that. So it was, how often do you get to say I'm going into the lab every day just to make movies? And so that was very nice. And so I liked that part of it. And then after that, that was what the first draw. And then the second draw was that I got so excited about some of the ideas that come forth in this. And so if I could just say a word or two about that, is that, if I were to think back, take a big step backwards and look at, well, what are important questions for physics these days? And I would say, physics knows very, very well how to deal with things that are very ordered, and they know very well how to deal with things that are in equilibrium, a little box of gas full of equilibrium. And you can say everything you want about those things because we kind of understand the principles of that. But I look around me and I see nothing's in order, and nothing's in equilibrium, and if you were in equilibrium, you'd be dead. I mean, which is, so if you think about it that way, all of biology is aimed at keeping us away from equilibrium. And these seem to me really the big questions, and soft matter is in a position to start addressing some of these at a simpler level than biology, but be able to get maybe some of the principles out. And so those are the things that fascinate me.
You're known to delight in disorder, so talk us through that.
I started out thinking that, we were taught crystals are the right thing to look at, every particle in its place and everything knew where they were supposed to be. And then I look around and my desk is not ordered. I mean, things are ready to fall on the floor and it's a mess. And you begin to realize, there's laws that deal with the far from equilibrium and disordered systems that we should be able to uncover. And so I delight in the disorder partly because it's a wonderful question to ask, how do we deal with this? It seems to be a freeing thing that it allows many different kinds of things to occur. That's not just what you get through the ordered system. But then, okay, so once you have this, can you begin to make something out of this? That is, it's not just for studying, but can you begin to understand that there are new things that you could make because the system is disordered, because you're not constrained by being in this perfect crystal state. And then I just find them beautiful. I mean, you don't have to go far, and you see, we're here in the desert, and you see dunes and sand all over the place. This is granular material. This is a disordered system. And you can't say that this isn't a beautiful landscape. And the beautiful landscape is because it's disordered. If this were a crystalline landscape, it would be very different, and I think we would be bored very quickly.
My final question is, when you think about young people today who be listening to you, who listening to some of your participating in your lectures, what advice would you give them when they're embarking on the same journey that you've gone through?
For me, beginning was difficult. I was full of insecurities, and I was so full of what's called imposter syndrome that I knew how much I didn't know and was painfully aware of that. And for me, I was able to get around that because I love to collaborate with people. And so that for me was a solution. I hope that other people who may be feeling these same kinds of insecurities, maybe this is the same thing, try to collaborate or whatever, but I hope you can find your own solution, because we're not all the same. And so, and this for me was a wonderful solution to that. And the other thing is, you have to choose a subject that you just enjoy doing. And because most of the time, that's all you're doing and I've been happiest in my life, not when I think about, where do I exist in the scheme of physics, but when I'm just doing physics and I thought, oh, that part was fun, and trying to work with the ideas and grapple with the ideas. It's frustrating, but every once in a while there's that flash of light, and you say, this made it all worthwhile. And so that was.
Well, thank you ever so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. It was so interesting. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
The Physics and Materials Science Department at the University of Luxembourg is a young and dynamic department with an excellent international reputation. We visit them now to find out more.
What is novel about our department is that it's structured into 5 modern thematic axes that include soft and living matter, photovoltaics and sustainable energy, functional materials, statistical physics and machine learning, and quantum science and technology.
The university is quite young, but I think the department has grown quite rapidly by recruiting prominent scientists globally. I'm deeply impressed by the excellence of their research and also diversity.
My vision for the department is to become a globally recognized comprehensive physics department to play a major role into the development of modern physics.
Now, the most important part of the program, we turn our focus to you, the members of the APS, to find out how physics can impact the future of humanity.
I think when people think of physics, they think of just like numbers and a lot of theory with it, but I don't think they see like all the cool things that it can lead to, like how it's led to like smartphones, how it's led to like computers, and a lot of like technological innovations that have helped humanity. So as we do this cool science and try to find cool things with it and have fun with it, we're doing it to also to see, hey, can we better engineer this? Can we better understand this phenomena that'll help people in the future?
Basically, electrons is the fundamental push for our current technology, but in the future we want to do more. We want to do maybe fusion, we want to do some other stuff, to solve energy problems. And so so physics, we cannot predict how fast it can develop and which direction it will go, but the more we know about nature, the better we know about our future. That's my understanding.
I
feel like physics in general has impacted humanity a lot. Physics is very natural in developing technology through both understanding fundamental questions of nature, but also just through practical inventions and so on and so forth.
Physicists can affect the future in multiple ways by understanding the universe different ways, and mainly engineering, I guess. Physicists come up with theories and engineers use these theories to apply the physical theories to make something useful.
As the University of Mississippi Center for MultiMessenger Astrophysics, the intersection of their gravity, HCP and astrophysics research groups address common questions about our universe. Let's see how the collaboration of these three groups are answering some of humanity's biggest questions.
MultiMessenger Astrophysics is a relatively new field of investigation. It looks at light, gravity waves, and particles as messengers carrying information to us from astrophysical processes. It began as a field in 2015 when the LIGO experiment made the Nobel Prize-winning discovery of gravity waves. And from that point forward, we've been able to observe the universe with gravity waves in addition to the light waves that we've always been able to see with our eyes and our telescopes.
I'm proud of the work I do here because we're able to collaborate with people from all over the world and all over the United States. It also, here at the University of Mississippi, we have a lot of opportunities to go out and talk about our work, doing different outreach. So I think this is, a great community, especially for a graduate student.
I'm fundamentally driven by trying to learn more about the universe. So I think that's what we're doing here. That makes me proud of the work that we're doing.
And that brings us to the end of day 2 here at the APS 2023 March meeting. We hope you've enjoyed our focus today on amplifying the voice of science as we paid visits to universities and institutes bringing future visions to present day reality. And we sat down with one of the year's most influential physicists. Each day you can find the latest episode of APS TV on the TVs placed around the convention centre. But don't worry if you miss us there, you can tune in right in your hotel room, channel 71 at the Ling and the Horseshoe Hotel, and channel 74 at Harrods. Remember, you can also find us on the APS website, as well as on YouTube and Twitter channels. Plenty of ways to watch. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you right back here tomorrow for more exciting news and highlights on the APS 2023 March meeting. We'll see you there.